Okay, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mangg, and today we're going to be looking at uh, Total War, Total War, Warhammer 3. Yes, okay. I always get that. I always say Total War 3, but it's Total War Warhammer 3. So this is arguably, certainly arguably, the best game in the Total War franchise. I don't know if that's true. Frankly, it's the only game in the Total War franchise that I've played. I never got into Total War until somewhat recently, and then it was like, okay, which one should I get? Well, Warhammer's cool. I like all the fantasy elements and stuff. Why wouldn't I get the latest Total War Warhammer game? So far I have no interest in like going back to Total War Warhammer 2 or something or anything like that. I have been interested in checking out some of the other Total War games. Actually, Pharaoh interested me quite a bit, but then it launched pretty disastrously, so I never picked it up. But I digress. So, if you're not aware at all, Total War is a... What's like the official description? What's the official definition of the genre that this franchise is in? It's not really a real-time... The combined turn-based strategy and resource management with real-time tactical control of battles. Yeah, so it's pretty much divided into two sections. There's the turn-based strategy, which is somewhat akin to, say, like Civilization or something like that. You have a big map. You control, a number of settlements. You're building up armies and things like that. You're researching. It varies a lot, at least in Total War, which faction you're playing as. Because every faction is kind of unique with specific unique mechanics as to how they develop. But yeah, typically the idea is to build your empire, to conquer other settlements, build how many settlements are in your control, and build bigger, better armies. It's not really... Everything is war, so there's not much, like, beyond that as far as like comparisons to Civ. You're not going for like cultural victories or anything like that. Everything is related to war. So it's all about how much money am I getting per round, what new units am I unlocking, how many units can I bring onto the board, that sort of stuff. And then specifically like where am I moving my armies, my big balls of units, which foes am I attacking, where am I expanding, where am I defending, stuff like that. The other half of the game then is in the tactical battles. And compared to something like StarCraft, which is very like kind of, small scale. The scale of Total War battles is much larger. You're often fielding, hundreds of units of individuals on the field at the same time. And so a big factor in winning is like, at least again in Warhammer, is kind of which units are on the field, what they're kind of good against, what they're bad against. Anti-infantry units against infantry is, preferable. And then flanking is a big thing, and how you move your units across the battlefield, and getting into pincer attacks and flank attacks against your enemy is a big deal. Being able to surround your enemy is a big deal. Height advantages come in when it comes to like ranged units. And then you also have like artillery, and you also have aerial units, and there's just a lot of like possibilities when it comes to that. It's pretty sweet. So, the normal kind of big game mode that everyone plays, kind of the reason you get into these Warhammer games, is Immortal Empires. And what that is just, it's a massive sandbox map filled with like dozens upon dozens of factions across like all these different races and empires and stuff. And so you have, you know, the Empire versus the Dark Elves versus Orcs versus the forces of Nurgle versus Wood Elves. And, you know, they're all just kind of in this giant sandbox mix. The map is static. The map is pretty much always the same. And, you know, where everybody starts is basically the same. But there's a lot of variability because, you know, your opponents are always kind of doing various things. They may succeed, they may fail, you know, they may expand, they might shrink. You never are quite sure. And then within each specific, you know, sort of race or whatever, or faction, you know, here you have the Empire. But you could pick a Karl Franz, and then you're going to be located here on the giant map. You could pick Balthazar Gelt, and you'd be all the way over here on the map. You know, wildly different locations, wildly different sort of encounters with your surrounding foes or potential allies. And the map is massive. You're never going to, like, go through the whole map when you play Immortal Empires. You're always going to just be like interacting with your region for most of the time. So there's a lot of replayability in Immortal Empires, and it's a really, really cool experience. So cool that I've actually tried to record some of my Immortal Empires experience twice now. And I've got, you know, a handful of videos, but I never uploaded them because they kind of just like petered out. There was no like satisfying conclusion to them, and I was like, it's not worth uploading. Because I always keep like switching my faction, you know, like a couple videos in, and it's like, that's not really satisfying. You want to see you want to see a victory. Now on Two Brothers Play with Lego, I have actually played. We've played a decent amount of Immortal Empires together in a co-op experience, which has been pretty cool. So if you're interested in seeing some Immortal Empires, you can check that out. The other main game mode of Total War Warhammer 3 is Realm of Chaos, which is not quite as big and expansive. It's a bit more story-driven, and it involves you specifically kind of fighting against the forces of chaos or being on the side of chaos. I didn't want to load the cinematic or anything. So it doesn't offer quite as many choices. The map is not nearly as big. And for most of these factions, you know, like, you're playing as the Empire, Dwarves, Grand Cathay, Kislev, to try and, like, fight against the forces of chaos. Or you're playing as Chaos. And you go into, like, the Chaos realms themselves, and it's, like, kind of a competition to see who can get, like, the four... I don't even remember, like, the four essences of chaos from each of the realms, and then I think you fight a big bad boss at the end or something. It's basically a competition to see who can do that first. It's fine. I mean, I've actually have beaten this once when I first started playing. But yeah, Immortal Empires is what most people do. I will mention, if you're trying to get into this for Immortal Empires, I do have all of this, like, purchased. So, this is all, like, optional DLC that you have to buy, and I've purchased almost everything. I don't think I have the latest DLC yet, but yeah. But what we're going to be doing is none of that, actually. We're going to be doing the thing that I'm quite confident I can actually finish with a conclusion, and it can upload. Finally. I want to finally upload something about this game. So we're going to be doing The Lost God, which is the prologue / tutorial. It leads into the Realm of Chaos. We're not going to do the Realm of Chaos afterwards, but this is its kind of its own thing. You don't have to. It'll teach you how to play, but it's also got a storyline. And I think it was pretty cool when I did it originally. So I'm gonna show you this, and then afterwards you won't have to do it yourself. You'll know how to play, and then you can just go into the rest of the game. So, Ursun, the bear god of Kislev, is silent. Without the great bear's benevolence, the motherland freezes and its people suffer. Become the Kislevite prince sent north by the Ice Queen on the ultimate quest. A narrative experience. I don't think I actually have to enable the tutorial, because I will teach you. I am certainly no expert. As always. I'm not an expert at any game I play. But I know enough to get through the prologue. I can say that. We are playing with no mods whatsoever. I didn't really want to mess with the experience here. But when I do play Immortal Empires, yeah, there's hundreds of mods you can get.
Kislev, our motherland, is dying. The dark winter devours our fairer seasons. It has been custom for our god, Ursun, the great bear, to break each winter with his roar. Yet, for 7 long years, he has fallen into silence. And so the ice thickens. Our prayers go unanswered. The people suffer. The Queen has sent me to investigate, to lead an expedition in search of Ursun. I am to make contact with our northernmost outpost, Dervingar. It was there, on the edge of the Chaos Wastes, our god's voice was last heard. Our journey has been long and perilous. The dead outnumber the living. We are lost. We are alone.
Your orders, Prince Yuri.
Fuel for the fires. Extra rations for the wounded.
Sir, this expedition has failed. We must turn south, head back to Kislev.
But we've come so far. We push north, find Dervingard.
It's madness! We cannot survive wandering the Chaos Wastes like beggars!
Yuri, brother, we must not abandon our duty. The people of Kislev depend on us.
You'll have my decision by dawn. Ursun, each day I pray, but you do not answer. This is our darkest night. Can you not see Kislev suffering? Help us! Show me a sign! Answer me! Then Kislev is lost.
Son of Kislev, I answer in my time of need.
Ursun!
I wake in darkness, bound in shadow.
Guide me! I can save you!
I am weak, so you alone shall hear my voice. I will lead you to Dervingard, your first step to finding me. Follow my voice.
We move north.
Pretty good stuff, right? Not too shabby. Okay.
You have led your kin through the mountain pass. The winds of the Chaos Wastes howl with unmatched fury. Journey north and seek respite.
Yeah, respite.
Yuri, of the Ango.
What are your orders?
Push north. Find shelter.
Alright.
We move north.
Pretty simple. So here's, you know, the kind of big map view. And this is basically how armies are represented with the leader as a big hulking figure walking around.
Influence of chaos. The further north we travel, the stronger it becomes. The bear god shows us the way.
We found supplies in the snow. From Dervingard.
Dervingard? How did they get here?
Someone left in a hurry. Carried what they could.
We thank Urson. They will be needed.
Mm-hmm.
The soldiers are ready. Give the order.
We move north.
Yeah, we're doing that.
Yuri! Up ahead! Some kind of shelter.
Send word, Garrick. We rest there. Not far.
Okay, so yeah, when you encounter settlements, if it's occupied by an enemy, you know, you'd have to fight them or besiege the place until they give it up or whatever. And then when you win, you can occupy it and it becomes kind of part of your empire, or often you can sack it to just get some money and leave it in control of some other person. Or you can raze it to the ground and just destroy it entirely and no one controls it. And if you sack it or raze it, you can occupy it again afterwards, but there is a penalty, obviously. So for this one, we're just occupying it.
You have found respite. Together, we can overcome the trials ahead. Our journey has just begun.
The cold bites deep. The shelter is not enough.
Build a camp. Then we can rest.
Okay. So every settlement has buildings that can be constructed, and then there's like the main one, which is part of the tier of the settlement itself.
Build a camp.
So we will now make this tier 1 minor
The
settlement.
order has been given, but the camp will take time. The camp protects us. But what of our supplies?
We keep them safe. Build a storehouse. We are on the edge of chaos. Yuri.
Okay, so we don't have many options here, obviously. So storehouse will generate an extra 100 income for us every turn.
The storehouse is ready. The supplies are safe.
Yuri, ready your warriors. Our sons and daughters cry out and flee in terror. The spilling of their blood must be prevented.
Our son.
Okay, we gotta...
Go north. We searched for our kin fleeing south. We found them traveling the hidden trails to avoid open ground. Some had left Dervingard. They said the stronghold had fallen, that its commander, the boyar Slavin Kearns, had abandoned his post. Yet others fled from a smaller fort they called the Beacon. They spoke of a tribal chief who thirsted for bloodshed. Skolden, the wolf of Dervingard.
Yeah, so these sort of choices, events will happen pretty frequently, and they often vary quite a bit depending on the faction you're playing as. So, you know, it's just how, I mean, for here, it's kind of a narrative thing, but yeah, oftentimes there'll be pros and cons to every choice. We can save the innocent or punish the wolf. We will save the innocent. So we got +3 leadership for doing so.
Fight at the beacon. Save who we can. I will find you, Godbear.
Why would I end my turn when I can keep moving?
Where is Dervingard? On to Dervingard.
I see the beacon. The fort is under attack.
The enemy carry the flag of the wolf. Must be Skolden.
Okay, so we have an allied settlement here, the beacon. There's an allied army in there, and they're under siege currently, I guess. Or maybe not, they're maybe not even under siege. And then an enemy army, Skolden the Wolf of Dervingard. So we can see there that he actually overpowers our army but quite a bit. Our green bar there is our army, and then his is red, so that doesn't mean it's unwinnable or anything like that. There's a lot of shenanigans you can pull in Total War, but that's sort of your general guideline.
Attack them.
Battle draws near. Our soldiers are ready. We see the enemy. The wolf leads an army of Northmen. We're eager to fight. Bring us to battle.
So our army is pretty light here. We have Yuri himself, who's anti-infantry and armored. Then we have 160 Tsar guards, which are armored and shielded. These are tier 3 units, so they're pretty nice. If a little, you know, one note. Whereas he has 240 marauders with armor-piercing great axes. He's got 240 marauder spearmen, which are good against large targets. He's got a Norskin giant, just one, but it's armor-piercing, anti-infantry, and causes terror. Naturally, it's a tier 4 unit, so it's pretty beefy. He's got 16 Norskin ice trolls. Armor-piercing, they regenerate, and they cause frostbite. But they have poor leadership, so they're more likely to break, to, yeah, you know, be routed. And then he has 2 skull cannons, which are siege artillery, also armor-piercing and anti-infantry. This battle is stacked pretty hard against us, I would say.
The beacon is under attack. Kislevites loyal to the motherland are within. Our army is small, but we can sway the battle if we are as wise as Urson. We approach from the south, while Skolden's Northmen assault the barricades. Their backs are to us. We should take advantage.
Yeah, we should take advantage.
The journey has been long, but we are ready. Fellow Ungolids, we are of Kislev. Show these cowardly dogs what that means. They hunger for blood. Let them taste cold steel.
The beacon is under attack. See for yourself.
Okay, so here's the other half of the game, where we have the tactical battles. So you can see, like, every unit is represented on the battlefield, which makes it really cool. So we have hundreds of combatants involved here.
The wolf reveals himself.
Cannons fire upon the defenders. The barrage is over. His warriors will attack. Act swiftly. Yuri, the defenders need our help. We must reach them. What's that? There, in the trees. An army! Those are Kislev colors! They're allies! We must advance and combine our strength. Select your own unit in order to rejoin your forces. Now issue a move order towards your troops. The soldiers are assembled and await your arrival.
Yeah.
Your place is amongst the warriors. Your presence grants them courage before the enemy.
Right. So, yeah, the Lord, the main sort of unit of each army. Every army has to have a Lord to kind of to run it. I don't know if I can pause here or not. I want to just explain stuff. So the Lords are obviously like the most powerful units. They level up. They get more and more powerful as the game goes on, assuming they keep surviving battles and stuff. And they, you know, there's a few different kind of general types of lords. There's the frontline melee lords, such as Arga, Yuri. There's ranged ones that shoot bows or use guns or whatever. You know, they just have a ranged attack. And then there's the spellcasting ones that rain down fire or buff allies or debuff enemies, all that sort of stuff. You know, those are the three general types, but there's a lot of variation in there. There's a lot of fun lords. So then there's lords, and then there's legendary lords. Legendary lords are the kind of the hallmarks of each faction. You know, they're the ones, like, if you play Immortal Empires, they're the ones you get to start as. It's like your main, the main unit of your entire faction. Lords, though, are other ones, kind of generic ones that you can just hire a recruit in order to run an army for you. And they fall much more closely into those, you know, several archetypes. The legendary lords, though, there can be a lot more variation and fun stuff. You can have ones that are like flying in helicopters or, you know, riding beasts of burden or all sorts of different stuff for legendary lords. They're the kind of actual characters of the game. So Yuri obviously is a legendary lord. And your lord, their other kind of main thing that they have is their leadership boost. So they'll have an aura around them. So as long as you have units near them, those units will be less likely to be routed. They'll be less likely to break formation and scatter once they start taking, you know, damage. So you generally want, you know, your lord near other units, whether they're melee or ranged or whatever it is. You know, you want them nearby so that they hold formation.
Proceed into the valley. Select your entire army so any order is given to all.
So yeah, you can't select individual like figures. You're selecting basically whole units. So I have 3 units here. One group of 80 Tsar guards, one group of 80 Tsar guards, and then Yuri. So, you know, a unit can be anywhere from 1 unit to 120 plus units, you know. Our enemy here, he had several units that were 120 men, but then he also has like the giant, which is one thing by itself, and you can only bring in up to 20 units in an army. So you're trading a slot, say, for like 1 giant that could instead be 120 spearmen. But, you know, a giant could very well be worth more than 120 spearmen.
Our allies fire down upon Skolden's army. His forces scatter. The allies are threatened from the rear. Up close, their bows are no match for swords and spears.
So our archers taking advantage of height advantage there to rain down arrows on the army. But they're very much under risk of getting flanked here. And archers obviously not so great in melee. So we want to get our Tsar guards in there. Tsar? this is Zar guards, in order to protect them.
Draw your weapons. Turn the tide of battle.
So as I said, flanking is very important. We want to surround the enemy. We want to flank them. We want to hit them in the rear while they're busy elsewhere.
Best you can. They have their backs to us. A fatal mistake.
So yeah, like this one, yeah, they're trying to get in there, but we want to come around their rear and get them this nice pincer move. Obviously terrible play on the Marauder side.
Slay them! March for Kislev! Purge them! At the forefront! Moving!
And we want to get Yuri in there to really mix things up. And you can get right in here and kind of see him just send dudes flying. Yeah, it's sweet. Oh yeah, he's like fucking Sauron in there. It's great. So, yeah. You want to be able to...
The enemy raised the white flag. Their troops flee.
So they were routed. They took enough damage that their morale was broken. Their leadership was broken. And so they're fleeing then. And you can't control a fleeing unit. They just try and run. They often rally while they're fleeing at some point. Unless they're wiped out or something like that. So they'll often... You'll regain control of them while they're fleeing. And then you can send them back into battle. But it's not great, obviously. They've broken formation. Things don't work out.
The wolves' main pack advance on the beacon. The cannons rain death. They must be destroyed. The allies join our forces. We'll need the reach of their bows.
Right. So our goal is to help take out those
hellish cannons. They
those
must
cannons.
fall silent if we are to save the beacon.
Taking points!
And we've got archers now. And you can see the range there with their green. So they could definitely post up here on this ridge out of harm's way.
Sagard!
And we want Yuri to go with the melee, of course.
Go!
The range really shouldn't take any punishment up there.
The cannons are defended.
Yeah. So this is just going to be kind of a head-on attack. There's
the infantry to form a line
not
facing the
a
enemy.
whole lot we can do that, but we want to,
Remain behind the line to protect them.
Over there!
you know, we want to spread out the line as much as we can in order to maximize how many soldiers we have fighting at once. So we're going to post up here, and that allows us to
Urson commands!
just start pelting their melee with arrows. And that forces them, if they want to put an end to that, to come into our line. Yeah, so you can see the general health bar of each army. The white bar is their leadership. So they're gonna break. Now.
Break from the fight.
There you go.
Press your advantage. Destroy their weapons of war.
So, I mean, yeah, we could rush in. I don't know if there's really a time limit or anything, but this is certainly a winning strat. So, because their cannon here isn't even firing on us. Yeah, there's just little reason for me to do anything but this. Now, your archers do have ammo. I don't think they're gonna let me see that. But yeah, they do have a certain amount of ammo. They can run out, then they're left with nothing. And also, every unit has sort of a stamina thing. So our archers are tired or winded already from just non-stop firing their bows. And that does affect their movement speed and things like that. And so, like, you can charge in with your melee. Like, I can charge across and charge in. And you do get a charge bonus for, like, attack and damage and stuff for being the one charging. But you're also using up your stamina to move and charge in compared to just holding the line. So things like that. We're probably going to start moving, though. It doesn't seem like they're going to break formation.
At the forefront! Kislev's vengeance!
We'll just soften up that last group of Marauder Hunters.
Keep the enemy in front of you. Do not let yourself become surrounded.
Kislev sends us forth!
Yeah, I mean, that group was going to get...
Fight for Ursun!
we want to keep moving. Yeah, I mean, this battle's already over.
An effective position. Done!
We're going to cut off that group clean. The siege artillery definitely hurts.
Moving!
Follow the bear!
Sargar! Follow the bear! Ready! Ongoing.
But obviously, artillery can't usually defend itself too well. They're kind of easily destroyed by... Oh, boy! Usually can't defend themselves too well.
My God!
They did die, but holy shit. Okay, done and done. Alright, so,
Taking position! March with pride! On the march! Orson's call!
move everyone in, spread them out as much as possible, and then also get our archers over here. They're very tired, but they can still shoot.
Sargar!
Alright, let's move in.
Where? Attack! Armed Gossars!
Oh, okay.
Yuri! You are Prince of Kislev! Let your kinsmen hear you roar! Fill them with Ursun's courage!
Yes. So every
Your war cry inspires your soldiers. See how their spirit is renewed.
yeah, I'm working on it. Every lord has specific abilities they can use at varying rates and with varying powers and blah blah blah.
Yes!
So Yuri's ability, Ursun's Roar, gives everyone, all of his allies, plus 20 melee attack, plus 16 leadership for 30 seconds, which is certainly pretty great.
Taking point! Ongoing Prince! Land is power! Taking position! March for Kislev!
This army's kind of all over the place. I don't know what they're doing.
Go with honor!
My archers decided they have to go all the way around. Alright, they served their purpose.
The enemy are dead or scattered. They flee the field. We are the bear's wrath. But Skalden, The wolf still lives.
Okay, obviously a pretty easy battle.
Safe. Many lives have been spared. The survivors look to me for leadership. I will need them, for the wolf still lurks in the shadows.
They counted it as a close victory, but I don't really believe that. So, after each battle, you get spoils.
We hold captives. Their fate is mine to decide. I pray for Urson's guidance.
They're usually going to get some money, and then you get to make a decision. And again, this differs depending on your faction. There's always, you know, the evil factions can, like, sacrifice, you know, prisoners of war to their gods, or you can enslave them or eat them, you know, who knows what. So our options are forcing them into indentured servitude, which will replenish our army's numbers by 38%. So that'll actually replenish our one Tsar Guard back to full. Or we can hold them for ransom and get some extra money out of it. Let's go ahead and replenish our army.
Send them to work.
The innocent are spared from the wolf's vicious pack. The beacon is under our control. A sanctuary in the cold, harsh wastes. But this is not Dervingard. Kislev's northern stronghold awaits.
Okay, so we got a follower, which is a kind of like a type of item, essentially. Each lord can equip a certain number of things, including followers. And so having a cartographer attached to Yuri will increase his movement speed by 5%.
A great victory, brother. The survivors swear allegiance.
They will aid our search for Urson. Those with the heart to fight, let them join us.
Okay, so, at this place, the beacon, it has a barracks. So this unlocks recruitment of armored Kossars, wielding spears. And then that can be
Need fresh troops, Yuri.
upgraded then to bivouac, which will get us armored Kossars that use throwing axes and pistols, actually. And then finally the cantonment, which will unlock Streltsy, which wield guns and great axes. So those are always fun units. So to recruit stuff,
I need more warriors.
normally you have to be in the settlement. Otherwise, you're doing sort of global recruitment, which is far more expensive. But they don't seem to be making a distinction here. So we can recruit up to 3 units per turn, and these take 1 turn to be recruited. So, and they cost 963. I don't know what the currency is of this faction. Money, I guess. Barrels, whatever. It's 963 space bucks. But then they also each cost 125 income. So that just subtracts from your income every turn. So to get 3 of these, you know, you're looking at 375 less income every turn, on top of the almost 3,000 it costs to recruit them. But it's good to have kind of a full army. So that's that. So we've queued all those up, and then at the start of next turn, we will have them.
The army grows. New soldiers eager to fight.
They will see battle soon enough.
The spirit of man is frail, so easily corrupted. The northern tribes worship the dark gods. The chief of the Garhas, Skolden, hungers for Kislevite blood. While he lives, he will hinder your search and prey on our people. The wolf must be tamed,
Okay. We gotta go find Skolden.
Should we stay here and let the soldiers rest?
No. We follow Skolden's trail. He must not get away. We seek the beacon.
Alright. So normally, like I said, you can have up to 20 units in your army, but for this prologue at this point, Yuri can only have 9, so we're good. And I don't think we can even upgrade anything in our settlements. So we're just kind of doing as we're told for now.
We've marched as far as we can, Yuri. The soldiers need rest.
Yep.
The wolf charges towards us! Quick, brother! Make ready for attack! Our only option is to fight!
Okay, so this is going to be a much more just straight-on battle. Normally, if you are attacked in this kind of situation, you actually have the option to retreat, and you move a short ways away. If your opponent can then also move again and continue to move to reach you again, you can't retreat a second time. But oftentimes, if an enemy has to stretch there and get to you at the end of their movement, then they won't be able to have the extra movement to hit you again for a turn. And that goes the other way as well. If you're trying to attack an opponent, they can retreat as well. There's also another option that we could do normally, which is auto battle, where it just kind of resolves the battle based on their algorithm of who would win. Sometimes it's favorable to you and makes sense. Other times it's not favorable to you, and it might be obvious of a result. Other times, you might say, I don't agree with the auto-resolve, and I'm going to fight the battle and win. And even I have done that, so, it's very much possible to do that. But for us, obviously, we want to fight, and we're going to fight, and we've got a sizable little army. He has his Great Axe Marauders. He's got his Hunters with Javelins, which are anti-large. And then he's got 3 units of Horse Masters. So these are cavalry with javelins, I assume. So they're ranged cavalry, and they have Vanguard deployment, which I'll get to. So he's got actually quite a bit of ranged, which we're going to want to rush down, and hopefully use our archers to take care of his regular marauders.
The wolf is cunning. He waited, knowing we would come this way. Now he means to face us in open battle with renewed strength. We deploy on the high ground and make him come to us.
Yuri, we must fight this cur. The way we deploy our army is often key to victory. Position them over here.
Okay, so at the start of most battles, you're going to get a chance to deploy your army.
Surroundings, brother. The battlefield is a weapon we can use against the foe. The enemy gave battle, so the onus is on them to attack. Use this to our advantage.
Yeah, so,
Our warriors can hide behind hills and amongst the trees. See for yourself how the troops are concealed.
yeah, but can I do something, dude, or you're just going to keep yapping? Thank you. So, yeah, in most battles you're going to get to deploy, and
Out here in the chaos wastes. We must keep an eye on the morale of our warriors, and if it crumbles, so will our battle lines.
yes, that is all true. Thank you very much.
Leave these trees, for they are exposed and the enemy will press us in great numbers. The high ground here will serve well as a defensive position.
Yes, high ground is important, as we all learned while watching Star Wars.
Arrange our forces at the base of the hill. Claim the slopes for ourselves. It will give us an advantage in the heat of battle.
Can I talk now? So, yeah, I mean, what he said is all true and important. Deployment and terrain and all that, pretty big factors. And the onus is on the attacker to kind of move forward, and that's because there is a time limit to every battle, and if the time runs out without there being a victor, then the defender wins the battle by default. I've never seen it happen ever, so I don't actually know what happens in that case. But yeah, some sort of victory, I guess, goes to the defender. So the attacker is always inclined to attack, which means against AI that if they're the attacker, they will move. If they're not the attacker and you don't move to hit them, they will just stand there waiting. You can sort of bait them into attacking with range attacks and artillery. If you start hitting them enough from a defensive position, even as the attacker, they will eventually march because they won't just sit there and be pummeled. But yeah. So that means that since we're the defender, we know that he's going to come to us, and that allows us to kind of set up shop. And most of the time that means, yeah, securing the high ground and getting into a good formation, a good defensive formation. So there's trees here, which will conceal your units. They won't be able to see them. They won't, like, consider them as being there if they're concealed. But otherwise, that's a pretty shitty position. It's kind of just by itself and off in the nowhere. And we can't conceal our whole army, so it's somewhat pointless. If we had cavalry, fast-moving units, we could all move over here to take the high ground and then hide some cavalry in the trees. And then once he moves in to take us, to fight us, then we could swing the cavalry around for some good hammer and anvil stuff. But other than that, he kind of knows where we are, we know where he is, and it's best for us to just take some sort of high ground, protect our archers, and let them just kind of rain down. Now, there is a potential problem, because he does have a lot of cavalry. He could swoop around behind us and hit our archers in the flanks, and if he does that, the defender will win the battle if the time runs out, blah, blah, blah.
Our warriors are ready. Give the signal, and the engagement shall begin.
Yeah, but I wasn't done. I didn't want him there. Fuck. Fine.
The wolves' marauders begin their advance. Maneuver and claim the high ground before they do.
Follow the bear!
So, yeah, if the cavalry swoops around, that's definitely going to be a problem. So we probably want to leave spearmen back behind the archers just to cover our flanks.
The enemy reveal their mounted troops. They have the speed to run our forces down.
Yeah. So cavalry are generally a pretty important aspect.
To engage the enemy riders. Knowing how best to use our forces will bring victory.
Yada, 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 yada.
Charge our position. Spears, engage! Quickly!
Taking points!
So, yeah, a charge defense against large foes, such as cavalry or monsters. So, obviously, much like the real world, spearmen are good counter to cavalry.
Armored cossars!
But to get that charge defense bonus, you do have to kind of plant your feet a little bit.
With our spears. Employ our archers to strike at range. Let them charge our rear.
March for Keithland! Taking point!
Okay.
Very well! Cossars! Motherland's fine!
So, there you go. I mean, that's pretty much what I said.
For Mother Keithland!
slam against our spearmen. We got our hussars.
Fight for Ursa!
And I could actually probably flank the cavalry to prevent them from fleeing.
March with pride!
Tough Gislovites!
The main body of the enemy force approaches. Divert some units to meet them. With honor!
So we're holding pretty good.
March for Kislev!
And here we get the perfect pincer attack.
Attack, comrades!
Gislov's vengeance!
I'm gonna move these.
Sends us forth!
Okay, so we decimated the cavalry quite easily. So, yeah, at this point I could send these guys all the way around to flank. It's going to be slow and they're going to be kind of winded, but it might be in my best interest to do so.
It is done!
And we should get Yuri in there. Because he's got Skolden in there, so we want him to fight. He is anti-large, so that'll be good. I think we move these guys up to deal with the javelins. And then move these guys to fill the gap. And we should have Yuri use Ursun's Roar.
Fury of the bear! Cossacks! Sargard! March for Kislev!
Alright, so the javelins are getting hit. We can probably mobilize more. Yeah, they'll never reach it in time, so it doesn't really matter.
Defenders of Kislev! Attack!
The wolf's army flees! Victory is ours!
Pretty handy victory, no doubt.
The wolf routs from the battlefield. He takes the remnants of his tattered force and flees north into the wilderness.
You know, that's sort of to teach you about cavalry a bit more and protecting your flanks and having a height advantage and all very good things to learn and remember.
Those who follow the wolf, I decide their fate. What would Ursun do?
Well, we could replenish army by 13% or get a small amount of money, so we'll keep taking indentured servants.
The cur runs, yelping for his dark gods. He fears your strength and returns to Dervingard.
Alright, we got another item that we can equip. Star Iron Ring. Ward save 10%. Which is pretty good.
2 victories, Yuri. The more we fight, the greater our skill.
Yeah, and like I said, your lords do level up. So they have skill trees. You know, the legendary lords, this is actually... you're going to have way more choices than this. This is just your prologue choices. So you've got some blue skills down here, which are generally like the kind of the strategy ones, the map sort of skills. So things that like reduce recruitment cost or reduce upkeep for your army or increase your casualty replenishment rates. You know, all sorts of things like that. And then the rest is going to be stuff for in battle. Such as increasing your lord's combat abilities themselves, or there's usually a line of stuff to increase your army's abilities and strengths, increasing your leadership aura, various things like that. And then there's going to be a lot of stuff that gives your lord new abilities. So like we could grab Heroic Resilience. This is a passive ability that is enabled once Yuri hits half health. And then that increases his melee defense and leadership from that point on. If we go down this line, we get Killing Blow as an ability we could cast, which would increase his base weapon damage and armor-piercing weapon damage by 50% for 30 seconds. Or we can get an upgrade to Ursun's Roar to give plus 40 melee attack instead of plus 20 to all our allies. So if we're leaning more towards melee, that's a pretty damn nice buff that we can cast. So yeah, let's go with Inspiring Presence to buff our leadership aura and work down that line.
Any advantage.
Listen. Wolves howl in the north. Something disturbs them.
They howl for Skolden, a wounded animal.
The time has come to march on Dervingard and free our kin. If you do not strike swiftly, the wolf will recover. End his reign of bloodshed.
Okay, and then we'll get the Frost Shard armor, rare. And like if you play Immortal Empires and stuff, you're gonna get quests or missions all the time that range from, you know, doable to like, holy shit, how am I gonna do this? You know, or you have to like go off and fight this big army in the distance, and it's like, is that really worth it? But then like again, there's so many variations between all the factions. Everyone kind of has their own goals, you know, like there's factions where it's like, oh, you want to get like these 6 tomes, you want to get these 6 books, and they're spread all the way around the region. And so the more you collect, you know, the more powerful you grow. So everyone kind of has their own agendas and their own objectives, and that's what makes it really interesting. And that's what makes it so replayable, because there's just always more options and more things that you can find out and do. So it's really cool. But anyways,
Ursun guides me. Dervingard is close.
Then give the order. We're ready to march.
I'm going to leave it off here for now. It's a good stopping point. And from what I saw from other videos, the prologue's about 3 hours, give or take. I don't know if others are explaining stuff as much as I am, so we'll see. But yeah, hopefully this is about a 3-part series, mini-series. And then, you know, if we have time, maybe I'll dip into Immortal Empires or something just to show you. But yeah, I really wanted this to be a completed mini-series. Good stuff. My name is Mangg. Game you're watching has been Total War Warhammer 3, The Lost God. And I'll see you fine folks in the next part.